This is Shirakawa from Oensu. Thank you for joining me again today. This time,
It was written that in the future, there might not be anyone left who has the image of a driver among the list of professions. But
you can have a list of professions. It's just a memo, that's all.
since it's only a memo, I don't really understand what's inside. What does it mean?
You know, the image of a driver that people have in society. Do you get what I mean?
I understand driver.
Those kinds of people will probably disappear altogether. Specifically the people who simply can't use computers or modern digital tools and who say things like, I'm just a driver, so I don't really need to do any of that. Even the hardworking people doing last-mile deliveries, like the local couriers who talk directly with customers every day, are already using sophisticated machines these days, aren't they? People who still say things like, I'm a professional driver, so I can't use that technology, or I have no need to use it, are rapidly becoming an endangered species in this modern world, aren't they?
So that's what you mean. There won't be people anymore who think it's enough to just be a driver.
Yes, exactly. The job of a driver is really changing. Of course, even in the past, it wasn't just about driving, but
From now on, that's going to change even more. Major delivery companies are already doing their jobs with digital technology as a given, aren't they?
yeah, I don't think so. Things just wouldn't run smoothly otherwise, right? For efficiency, even small and medium-sized transport companies are gathering various DX, digital transformation initiatives and such, into large warehouses, and those who can handle that are the ones advancing digitally. On the other hand, the really small companies that can't make that switch are just disappearing one after another. That's probably going to become the norm. In society, that's already seen as normal, but this performance,
Even in this context, as we move forward with DX, it seems like the use of digital tools is only going to increase.
I think it will increase. The use of various things will definitely grow. Normally, it helps improve efficiency and reduce mistakes. I don't think it's just the people living together in Hokkaido, but if I remember correctly, we were probably the first to do it. Now, as far as I know, microchips are implanted in horses, and we use a reader to scan them. But even then, after scanning, having to write down what's displayed is actually a pretty tedious process, isn't it? Even though we've gone to the trouble of implanting microchips and have readers to scan them, we still have to write things down by hand, and that's where mistakes can happen too.
When after that, wasn't there some kind of big initiative to digitize everything? Daily logs too.
Yes, that's right for the daily logs as well.
Are those still handwritten right now?
It's all still handmade.
What do you write in those logs?
You have to record things like on what date, at what time, who went with whom, where they departed from, what the car's odometer reading was at departure, where the next stop was, what time an odometer reading at that stop, how long loading took, how many minutes it took to finish, what time they departed next, and you have to write down all the loading time, work time, break time, and measurement time. Everything has to be recorded.
And right now, all of that is being written by hand. That's right, that's what it means. You won't have to write it anymore.
Exactly. I'd like to get to that point as soon as possible, but I often hear from various people, since everything is digital now, you shouldn't have to write anything by hand. But the reality is, even with digital tachographs, there aren't any default systems that fully support the new formats yet. So basically, you have to customize them, and they're not ready to handle everything. The original purpose they were designed for is still lacking in some areas, and there are gaps that have started to appear.
So does that mean you also have to customize the digital systems?
It's more like linking and importing only the data that can be extracted from the digital system. Plus, now with AI, the process of extracting and importing that data can probably be handled by AI, so it's going to get a lot easier.
That's right, it still requires some manual work.
So right now you go out, come back.
Submit the job report, and of course there's all the calculations and everything, but does this mean it could all be done in real time?
Yes, it would be almost in real time.
It simplifies things for the admin.
Well, actually, entering data on tablets is still a little ways off, maybe next year or so. Once we can input data on tablets, it'll be almost real time. The moment you enter it, it's there.
Right?
I think the amount of tedious work will decrease, and the burden on health will also lessen. After all, it's not like we'll be doing the exact same job forever. 10 or 20 years from now, we won't be doing the same things as we are now, right?
That's true.
Given how things change, who knows what life will be like in 20 years? Even with autonomous tech, who knows its progress by then?
If that happens, things will be completely different. It might end up being just loading and unloading.
Right, and even the work of loading and unloading itself, who knows how that will change from now on, for ranchers too. Reducing the labor involved in loading and unloading, just like at a hub warehouse in the transport industry. Well, right now we don't really know how things will turn out, But if you think about the time spent by vehicles and drivers, the dates and times, the ranch staff, the people who manage departures and arrivals, and the extra effort of having people present on site, if all of that could be eliminated, that's the direction things would go. Ranchers are already busy with their main work, and on top of that, they have to load, drop off, and receive things. They even have to get up early just for that. Depending on the location, our trucks don't always arrive during regular working hours, so there are actually quite a few places where people have to get up early and come in just to meet us.
It happens a lot.
It would be great if we could eliminate that kind of thing too.
Should that specific situation occur, not only the drivers, but also the individual names and professional roles of the people involved might change within a much broader and more significant context.
I can see that happening. When it comes to humanity, or perhaps even stronger service, whether things will get closer or more distant, I'm not really sure. Maybe things will become more mechanical, and even interactions between people might become more mechanical. Still, the driving skills of today's veteran drivers. There are definitely some amazing skills, like you can really tell they're true professionals. Those people, well, the new trucks these days aren't all that different, but passenger cars keep changing rapidly, right? They're able to handle those changes because they have a solid foundation. But there might come a time when even they can't keep up. On the other hand, younger people might not have been as good with the old analog cars, but as things become more digital, they might actually handle them better. Things might change in that way. I don't really know, to be honest, since I'm already digital. And I'm not even good at driving in real life either.
Why are you being so self-deprecating all of a sudden?
No, but really lately, people say, President, you're good at driving, aren't you? It's kind of embarrassing, you know? Especially when it comes to people in the same industry in Hokkaido, particularly the drivers on site. I'm not very good, but maybe compared to people who are really bad, I might seem okay. But if people say I'm good, then what does that make the real pros on site? They'd be treated as something even higher than gods. I mean, the people who are actually good.
I see. When it comes to what we look for in drivers, during interviews we have them submit their resumes, but it would be great if we could spot digital skills and things like that right from the start.
For example, when hiring office workers 10 years ago, we might have asked how proficient they were with Excel functions, but even that doesn't really mean much anymore. If you ask people, we'll just teach you, so not knowing functions isn't really a deal breaker anymore. I suppose this means that, from the management side, we have to nurture people, and we ourselves have to keep growing as well. In an era where things change so quickly, it's becoming even more important. It might sound rude to say, but if someone joins the company and doesn't grow, they'll soon become useless, or rather, they'll just end up on the bench.
Apparently, even among venture companies, there are more and more people who join with the intention of quitting after 3 years from the very beginning.
Yes, I've heard about that.
It seems we're in an era where more people set that kind of time frame as their goal. Lifetime employment has disappeared, and that's become pretty normal these days, but if society and companies don't adapt to that, it feels like the companies themselves won't survive.
It's both, isn't it? Sometimes the employer is stronger, sometimes the employee is stronger, and as things keep changing, the times move forward. For example, now the ordering side is getting weaker, right? In the past, the side placing orders was strong and the receiving side was weak, like, do it cheap, that's what matters, or don't you dare take a break. The attitude of hurry up and finish is gradually being reversed.
It's things like laws and regulations, right? Everyone has a hard time because we all have to adapt to the times.
But it's probably those who adapt and respond to these changes that will survive, and the ones who do survive will likely look at others and say, well, it's because you couldn't adapt. So, while there are more protections for employees now at the same time, on the other hand, things are also getting tougher. To put it bluntly, it's not surprising if you get let go. The requirements for companies to lay off employees are being relaxed more and more. I think the image that employees are being increasingly protected is strong, but there are also movements in the opposite direction. For companies in Japan that need to boost productivity, that might be part of it too, but rather than feeling stressed about having to grow, I think it's better to enjoy the process of growing and in your own way. If you can enjoy the sense of accomplishment and the desire to grow as you change, that's the best. It's tough if you feel like you have to do it, you have to succeed, or you can't do it.
As a driver for operations, you need at least the minimum driving skills and the ability to handle horses, but at the same time, you'll also be expected to adapt to digitalization.
Yeah, times of change are definitely tough, aren't they? But once things are established, even digital tools will keep evolving to become more user-friendly for people on the ground. Improvements?
They should continue there, right? It's vital.
It's definitely incredibly challenging to get used to such significant and major transitions, isn't it? For example, among the various members participating in the credit system and even the dedicated office staff, online meetings have now completely become the standard norm.
Yeah, I look at the group chats and everyone's just casually talking about when the next meeting is or whatever, like it's totally normal now.
That's right. Work is definitely moving along much faster now. We're able to make all kinds of decisions too, even though everyone used to think, no way, that's impossible, at least in their heads. We used to always say that you couldn't really communicate unless you met in person, but now it's gotten to the point where we realize there's no need to meet face to face. We set our own schedules and take the initiative to reach out to others. Even meetings with drivers are done online now. I mean, our transport company isn't one where everyone comes back every day, and even if they did, if they leave in the morning and come back in the evening, who's supposed to do the interviews then? And what if several people come back at the same time?
Done.
Because it's online, will drivers... But it's actually much easier to coordinate timing, and there's no need to come into the office. The fact that people are no longer resistant to this is a big deal. Once you get used to it, you realize that things really can be communicated properly, even through a screen.
Once you get used to online communication, it's totally doable.
At this point, people might say, are you really having online meetings that often? Well, it's not always meetings, but in that sense, even veterans have to get used to this as the new normal. Not being able to do it just isn't an option anymore.
Even just looking at line, it's completely different from 10 or 20 years ago. Having a work line group is something people aren't used to either.
It's not like we're saying, just do it on your own and get used to it. That's why we teach each other and learn from one another. Even for me, if I didn't get taught, I wouldn't be able to do anything at all.
And because there are people around who can teach and be taught, that cycle continues. It would be great if it leads to a positive flow.
That's right. Even on the main islands or in places like Miho and on remote islands, there are more and more people staying at places like Rito for training now. They're properly taking steps to address the 2024 issue, so staying overnight on remote islands is becoming the norm now.
Yes, that's true.
That's right, the development of Shiga Prefecture has already begun.
It would be great if that kind of information network could expand, not just drivers talking about it verbally, but actually sharing online like, this place is delicious.
It doesn't matter if you send it via chat or whatever, but in the end, you're still tied up. Of course, you're not supposed to do it during your official rest period, but if you have an online meeting while on a business trip, you can take your time and rest after you get back. As long as you have an internet connection, you can do it anywhere. I'm not sure if things are coming together or getting off track, but anyway, as always, in the end...
I think it's fine as long as you eventually come back in the end.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We are looking for great drivers at our transport company. If you're interested, please check out our recruitment site or corporate website linked in the description, and we'd love for you to apply.